Hello! It is an auspicious day because it is time for the Booktube Spin. This is a thing that Rick MacDonnell organizes every couple months. I have participated before. I believe the last time I participated I read Leaving the Sea, which is a story collection by Ben Marcus. That was what I got from my spin. So the spin is going to happen in a few days, and if you don't know, you pick 20 books, you go over them, and then he spins a wheel, and whatever number, that's the book you read. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna force myself to do it. It's gonna happen. It's been long enough. I am gonna finish the book that I'm reading first in the next few days. Tonight. I'm gonna finish the book. I'm gonna make myself do it. But I have this little mini shelf of books near my desk where I put the stuff I want to read most immediately, and so I have chosen 20 books off of that shelf, which is most of the books on the shelf. And the way Rick did it this time in his video was he just read, instead of talking about what the book was, he read a blurb off of the book. So I'm going to do that too, if they have a blurb. If they don't have a blurb, I'll just read whatever is on the back of the book. So the first book up is Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. This won the National Book Award. New York Times Book Review says, fresh and beautiful, Yu is an author of seemingly limitless skill and ambition. Next we have Grady Hendrix with the Southern Book Club's Guide to Vampire Slaying, or Slaying Vampires, excuse me, I read that backwards. Grady Hendrix will be well known to any horror lovers out there. He writes, humorous horror stuff, and he also was the man responsible for like Paperbacks from Hell and stuff. He's a man who has a large appreciation for horror. Fangoria. Let's pick Fangoria. Fangoria says, a charming testament to friendships and a life's imperfections with dashes of rot and savagery. I like that. I'd take Fangoria's word over the New York Times Review of Books, which was also on the back there. Number 3, we've got the first novel by Michel Houellebecq, The Elementary Particles. Le Mans says, here are ideas, here are dreams, here is a great novel. Number 4, Pussy, King of the Pirates by Kathy Acker. Let's go with a quote from Hotwired, which I've never even heard of that publication, which is pretty sick. Kathy Acker's twitchy genius lies in the realm of half-remembered dreams. Pussy reads and sounds like the work of people who know exactly what they're doing, even if part of their mission is to keep you from making easy categorizations. You can't easily categorize dreams either, but when they're this provocative, you hope that you have them again. Number 5 is the first volume of Goodnight, Punpun by Inio Asano. This is a manga, so I will just say what it says on the back. Goodnight, Punpun. Meet Punpun Punyama. He is an average kid in an average town. He wants to win a Nobel Prize and save the world. He wants the girl he has a crush on to like him back. He wants to find some porn. That's what he wants. But what does he get? I know that Juan read these and was like, thought they were good, but maybe not great. Yeah. Number 6, we have the Collected Voices in the Expanded Field. This was published by 1111 Press, and it features the writings of all of these people, a lot of people who I like and look up to. And it does not have any sort of quote or anything. Let me read instead Andrew Wilt, the founder of 1111. He has a little introduction here for the book, so I'll read that. Before bands could upload their songs to MySpace, the cheapest way for fans to hear new music that wasn't allowed on the radio was to purchase compilation albums put out by small record labels. These would cost a few dollars at most, just enough to cover the production cost, because it was also the cheapest way for the independent label to find a new fan. Fast forward to 2020, and MySpace has been replaced by countless free web-based platforms for writers, musicians, and artists to host their work. There is so much new media, it is hard to discover new art from all of the noise that is uploaded and shared across a growing number of media platforms. We hope that this novel will break through the noise and highlight the incredible work being made in our unique artistic space. This book is more than a sampler or an anthology because Collected Voices in the expanded field is not limited to authors who have been published by 1111 Press. It is a shared work created by many of the authors and publishers who make out our weird and small press scene vibrant and supportive. Each contributor begins with the same 11 words. You see a watering hole. Reprieve from the old dusty path. And branching outwards, works in unison with the chapters around them to generate something wholly unique. If you enjoy reading an author's chapter, please consider purchasing one of their books. All of the authors in this book have published books, and they would be delighted if you read more of their work. So yeah, it's all of these people are starting with the same prompt basically, and then going there from there. And there are a ton of people in here who I either have read and loved, or who I own books by but haven't read yet, or who I've heard of and want to read books by. So I'm very excited to read that. 7. Cows, Matthew Stokoe. Publishers Weekly says, do you like cows? Do you have even a tinge of faith in the goodness of man? If so, skip this relentlessly violent survey of some taboos you heard of, and hopefully a few new ones that would never occur to you. Takes what the Marquis de Sade did and pushes it down the road a little further. Zero Excess by Jake Reber. Ambient body horror. Here are 2 quotes. I'm going to pick the one from Amy Ireland, who says, Zero Excess is the drug that you take when you're done with poetry. ELADATL, or ELADATL, I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce it. I'm going to pick a quote here from Mark Doughton, whose book The Infernal made my list of 10 favorite books I read last year. Visionary, hilarious, anarchic, the counterfactual novel to beat all counterfactual novels. You Will Love What You Have Killed by Kevin Lambert. Kevin Lambert takes us on a one-way trip to a hallucinated small town where everybody knows everybody, a place populated by vengeful ghosts trying to heal from childhood wounds, a poetic tale about what's broken between a community and its youth. And that's from Stéphane Larue, the author of The Dishwasher. 11. Ted Chiang, Exhalation. Ted Chiang is a short story writer. One of his short stories was the basis of the film Arrival. That's probably the thing he's best known for. All of the quotes on this one are teeny tiny. Yeah, there's bigger ones inside. That's what I want. I don't want 2 words. I don't just want... There's one that's literally just exciting. That's the whole quote. Let's go with Publishers Weekly starred review. These stories are brilliant experiments, and Chiang's commitment to exploring deep human questions elevates them to among the very best of science fiction. Run Off Sugar Crystal Lake by Logan Berry. Crystal Lake is a dramedy/camp song/slasher film in the key of OMFG. Barry's nimble, narcotic prose plays some very dirty games against a backdrop of impeccably designed pages, creating a queasily brilliant experience more akin to theater than to anything literature has heretofore managed to muster. Boundary-defying, extraordinarily intelligent, and gleefully savage, Crystal Lake is both playground and graveyard for a cast of very poisonous persona, sure to delight and disorient even the most adventurous reader. Tender as the Flesh. Let's go with Le Monde. An astounding portrait of a humanity ready to do anything to satisfy itself, even at its own expense. My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. This is getting made into a movie by Yorgos Lanthimos, supposedly. I'm a big fan of that Yorgi boy. I'm going to go with NPR. Bizarrely fascinating. Moshfegh knows how to spin perversity and provocation into fascination and bleakness into surprising tenderness. Could certainly use a little of that right now. Next, Virginie Despentes is Vernon Subutex 1. This is the first part of her trilogy, Vernon Subutex trilogy. From Catherine Taylor at The Guardian. She says, Vernon Subutex 1 scrutinizes misogyny, pornography, poverty, religion, race, neo-fascism, and gender issues. Its hipness recalls the films of Jean-Jacques Beignet and Leos Carax, who I'm a fan of, making for an intoxicating blend of the retro and au courant. Crisis Actor by Matt Lee. This does not have a quote on the back, nor does it have a quote at the front. On the back it simply says, in the style of a ransom note, an artist's statement and a terrorist's manifesto are synonymous. Something gross. Big Bruiser Dope Boy. I just got this in the mail from Juan. The quote on the back is from Gary L. Lutz. It says, this genre-defying account, novel, narrative poem of the troubled love of a young man for an emotionally stunted older one in the bars and apartments of megalopolitan Denver is written with such a spooking purity of line and with such an audaciously stark, grave wisdom that it already feels like a classic of its kind. Big Bruiser Dope Boy's undecorated, indecorous sentences cut right through you and into the soul you might not have even known you still had. Something Gross is his most triumphant book yet. You are sure to wish that you had written it. This one is Hurricane Season by Kelby Losack. It also doesn't have any quotes anywhere on it. On the back, though, it says, the subfloor creaked under the phantom footfalls and the shadow people moved around the periphery and the weed grinder kept shifting a couple inches to the left of where you last set it down. Maybe our ghost was feeling neglected, or maybe it was amped up off of the storm's energy. We just let it go because what the fuck else can you do? At some point you learn to live with the things that haunt you. 19. Rituals performed in the absence of Ganymede, a text by Mike Correo. Let's go with the first one. It's from Thomas More, who is the author of Alone. To properly orientate oneself before entering rituals performed in the absence of Ganymede, one must first think about the rituals suggested in the title as a physical act. Of course, all books require a collaboration between the text and the reader's imagination, but the interaction here needs to be reframed as an act between two living organisms rather than one holding the other within its hands. Mike Correo has created a text that bubbles from the page and wraps itself around the reader. Upon peeling it from their skin, the paragraphs will continue to grow and morph, easily outgrowing and crushing the microscope that it had been placed under. Correo's writing constantly mutates, mimics, and takes the form of other texts, websites, and PDFs that it might have encountered, all the while revealing its true form, the concrete poem of a beast driving this chaos. All hail its dizzying and glorious reign of confusion. Drifter by David Leo Rice, story collection. We've got quite a few quotes to pick from, but I'm going to pick one from a guy, not important, whatever, named B.R. Yeager, author of Negative Space, that says, somewhere between Bradbury and Ligotti, Rice folds centuries of Americana into a space unstuck from time, where everything is an anachronism. Here he explores the blurry divisions between adulthood and childhood, the seeming impossibility of atonement, and the madness of certainty. So yeah, that's my 20 books. We will find out in just a few short days which one I will be reading. So stick around and you will find out.